Okay, well, y'all, super big treat tonight. Sam and Logan from Era 4444 agreed to come back on after some time off. So, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining again.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Of course, y'all are the first people that we're speaking with after we've crossed 10,000 total listens on the podcast. So, it felt right to bring back somebody to kind of celebrate that.
Oh, that's awesome. Congratulations.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Thank you. Yeah, so I'll spend the next hour just having you ask questions to me about the podcast. No, just kidding. Uh, no, but it's been a fun ride, and it seems like we kind of were joining at the similar time. We were pretty new when we spoke to y'all the first time. It really meant a lot that you said yes, and y'all were also fairly new, hadn't even released Anatomia yet, and now here we are. Your website is just full of shit that's sold out. So congrats for a successful year and a half.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. On expectation, above expectations, below, like how you feeling?
I would say that geez. Sam, what do you think?
Like you said expectation wise, like how are we feeling?
Yeah, like compared to how you were feeling a year and a half ago. Like, has this been better than expected? On kind of on par, way worse?
Better.
How's it?
I'd say better than expected.
Oh yeah, definitely. Easily, I would say. I mean, it's still all very surprising to us. Like, we definitely never came in thinking like, hey, we're gonna take over or anything like that. And I mean, we're by no means like close to to kind of like the crazy visions we might have deep in sleep at night. But
Uh-huh.
but no, I mean, it definitely is it's gotten better, and I think with each release it gets a little easier. And I exaggerate saying little because there's always difficulties that present itself with every new release or any new project, I think you tackle, but it's definitely gotten better, I think.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's cool. We all have worked with sticker vendors. You've worked with art card vendors. You've worked with slipcover vendors, bookcase, like the booklets that go inside the case. You worked with artists. Like y'all have done a lot. You've worked with VHS now, right? There's some stuff coming out through what is it, Lunch Meat, right?
Yep, Lunch Meat.
We just collaborated with Lunch Meat for the first time, which is cool. There's a lot of
y'all, your Rolodex is growing for all these vendors, and so hopefully that's making it easier for you too.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I'd say it is. We're also pushing each other kind of like to top ourselves with each release, or to kind of have better quality with some of the things with each release. So we're trying to do better and better as we go. So it opens up a little bit of difficulty, but it's also like a nice challenge.
Yep.
I love that. Well, where are y'all selling now? Because I still go to Big Cartel and buy direct, but I know that you have standard editions. So like, where are y'all on like Amazon and stuff now? Like, where all are you selling now?
Right now we're just doing. I mean, we have standard editions of Funky and Warped. And we're working on getting new standards of Anatomia out. Probably by the end of the year, we'll probably have Anatomia ready again. But at the moment, we're just selling on our site. I mean, we've thought about opening it up to Amazon. Beyond that, we have sold standard editions to Diabolic DVD, Orbit DVD. So they've carried our stuff in the past, and there are a few other wholesale retailers that have wanted to pick up our stuff. So we might also sell to them sooner or later.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All these decisions you have to make along the way. So that's good news. That was one of my questions actually. Is Anatomia ever coming back? So the standard edition is not totally sold out. It's just a matter of currently not available.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's good news. And because I know some people are going to want to be complete on y'all and not have to pay eBay prices to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
No, for sure. Yeah, we want to be better about that. I think it's something that, we've started discussing a little bit more too. We want to try to like keep kind of like a steady roll of, standards for people. Because we want to, well, one, it's nice so that people can actually, have own the film. Just it doesn't even matter like without the bells and whistles, just own the film and whatever like special features that are there. But also so, it helps us get our name out there a little bit more too. Because if you limit yourself at the collector's edition, then it's not the greatest. So yeah, no, we've been talking about it more, trying to be better about it for sure.
But I mean, so I don't know how much y'all know about what I do outside of this. This is like a fun hobby of mine, but like I work in tech sales, right? And I have a kind of a background in selling AI. And one of the biggest questions you get, no matter what size the company is, if it's two people that are taking the boutique Blu-ray world by storm, or if it's like a $20 billion company, the hardest thing is demand planning, demand prediction, right?
Mhm.
Because if you knew how many units you were going to sell, you could go like just get a loan and like produce those units so they're ready, right?
Right.
But you can't. There's no crystal ball, so you kind of have to like guess, and I guess your guessing just gets better the more you do it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's probably accurate. Yeah, because with Anatomia, I mean, we sold really well, and we had leftovers for standards and stuff, and those sold over time. I mean, we did sell some to Orbit, we did sell some to Diabolic, so we didn't sell them all ourselves. Um, and then but now when it seems like every time we announce the next title or something, then we have people that are discovering us or finding out about us, and then they need like titles before that they missed out on. So it's kind of like helping others catch up. So I think once we get more title, or once we announce more titles or have the artwork and stuff reveal, we'll probably get people that missed out on Funky or Centipede and Red Spell. They'll want standards of those. So
Totally.
I guess it's
Yeah,
just more timing when we'll get them, when we need to have them ready.
Yeah.
that's fun. Well, yeah, that's great. So that kind of leads me. You talked about Red Spell, so that's leading to something I wanted to ask you all about because I had a huge smile on my face when I saw the release for Red Spell and Centipede because it's like it felt very like uh, like y'all had a lot of fun in planning how you were going to release this. So can you talk at all about a release strategy? You have like 5 bundles, right? Is that right? 5 bundles, and each one has like a different combination of things, different slip covers. Like I love it, man. I love it because it's just like it's just I don't know. From my perspective, it seems like y'all are having a lot of fun. But can you just kind of talk about that a little bit? How you decided on the bundles and the decision to make 2 different slip cases and just that whole process around the release?
I kind of was pushing for the bundles, and as Sam was a little bit on the fence about the bundles or maybe all the bundles, but I know that we wanted to kind of play with different things and kind of force ourselves to do different things that we haven't done yet, like t-shirts and VHS tapes and like a nice rigid box and stuff. So, and like a nice comic book, stuff like that. So in order to do that, we felt that bundles might be the best way to kind of bring them to people, so then people could get what they wanted from different bundles. They don't necessarily have to go for the higher tiered bundles, but if they wanted to have like a collector's edition with all the bells and whistles, they could go for that. So we were just trying to kind of like accommodate for Uber fandom, or like people that were just really excited for these 2 movies. But I know Sam came around on it. I think he's happy with it. Are you happy with it, Sam?
No, yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that it was funny because especially in the beginning, like the planning, I definitely was super skeptical. Like I'm not even gonna lie because it's just like I've seen, like I think one of the most like popular well-known boutique labels like Severin, they are like the kings of like their bundles. And I think
Yeah.
their bundles are crazy, like they go really excessive, but it's also a good thing because like it when you see all the bells and whistles and some of the insane extras, like physical extras that you can get your hands on, it's very tempting. So there
Uh-huh.
is an allure, and I understand that. So when Logan brought it up, I wasn't completely like, no, we're not doing that, but I was like, we might be a little in over our heads because we're still starting out still, like, and regardless of whether or not Anatomia Funky did good. So I was like more on the skeptical side, but I will say the one extra thing or kind of bundle I did always want to have was the extra slips. But I think that I always wanted to have the extra slips because I like the idea of having a lot of really nice artwork featured, and the two type poster arts for Centipede and Red respectively. um I think they're absolutely gorgeous. I think a lot of Thai artwork is beautiful.
Hmm.
They really amplify some of the like insanity of certain films or badassness of
Hmm.
others. And especially with like Hong Kong films, I think like Thai artwork and Hong Kong films are like peanut butter and jelly. They're perfect, the combination. And so that sense, I also always in that sense, I did like some of the bundle ideas. So that I think, and I think Logan can vouch. That's something I always wanted, and that's also something I took a little bit of inspiration from by seeing 88 and what they did, especially early on with like their Shaw Brothers releases.
Mhm.
And I really love that they would use a lot of original artwork, like poster art. And that was something that I always like, we should all like, if we can, for a lot of like older movies or movies that are very like, I don't know, iconic or something, we should try to include, especially when, you know, when the original poster art's really beautiful. Like I think we should try to include it somehow. And featuring it as a slipcover was always a great idea in my head. So, but yeah, the rest of the bundles, I came around to it more towards leading up to the release, because then Logan would talk to me more about it, and we would think about like how some of the like different bundles, like you like he was saying, they accommodate to different people, like different fan groups. Like if people are like they're maybe on the fence about it, but they just want to complete their Era 444 collection,
Uh-huh.
you know, they grab the more minimalistic stuff. If they really big fans of Centipede and Red, they might go for like, you know, the closer towards the end, the crazier bundle, you know. So I do think at the end of the day it was a good idea. And at least on our end, seeing the numbers and stuff, like it worked out. And I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to doing it again. I don't think every film merits it, but that's already a different discussion, you know.
No, let's solve that right here. No, I'm just kidding. Um, no, I love the honesty. So yeah, I mean that's the thing, right? Severin's the king at bundles, but Anchor Bay used to do that back in the day. Even
Right.
like it's been like there's been, you know, I mean companies have been playing around with this idea of like different packaging and stuff. What is it? Blue Underground was Zombie, right? There's like 4 different covers of Zombie that came out on Blu-ray.
Yeah, I think they're all lenticular. It's like three or four. Yeah, they're all like lenticular covers.
Yeah, exactly. So you have good company. You're keeping good company, and just going through the site, like bundle five, the 181 sold out. Bundle four, the one that I got, which is the hard slip, like the hard kind of case that the discs go in with the comic book, that's 100 sold out. I mean, people responded well, it seems like.
Yeah, yeah. I think we sold. Did we sell out?
Oh,
I think every bundle sold out, right?
oh shit, I'm
Mm-hmm.
looking at it now. Every bundle sold out. Yeah, that's awesome.
Sold
Mm-hmm.
out.
Yeah.
So yeah, everything worked out. We were really happy about it.
That's great. And my wallet thanks you for only doing about 2 releases a year right now. Um, but I have to imagine that y'all want more. Is that have you thought about, or is it? I know it's just the two of y'all. Is it possible to do more now that you've learned a little bit more about the game?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we were actually planning on trying to get two more out by the end of the year, but we're with us moving forward and growing and trying different things. We're pushing ourselves to have quality and stuff and
Mhm.
try to interview actors or people that are connected to the film. So in order to do that, we kind of have to push, you know, we have to wait a little bit. So we're trying to get like the next two out. We were trying to do it like in November, December, more like December, but now it's looking more like maybe January or February where we'll try to get them out. But um yeah, like next year I kind of want to get as much out as we have like ever done. Like I want to keep doing that, try to get as much out as possible, but without sacrificing the quality or the features, you know, the artwork, any of that, you know. So just keep kind of the high level and also the choice of films, have the films be just as good as we've selected so far as well.
Yeah, I
Well,
second that. I second that.
I love to hear that. That's good news. I mean, I guess there's two things in what you just said. Very quickly, can we give some love to the graphic artist? Do y'all use the same one, or do you have different ones depending on the release?
Depending on the release, it's different. I mean, we've had Z uh Z did Anatomia, and she also did Funky and Warped. And then for Centipede and Red Spells, we had a guy named Bimo, who was great, who worked with us with these two. And then we're actually working with a slew of other artists for future films that we're working on right now. So we have like more coming uh that I guess we can't announce them yet, but you know, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we'll show off artwork sooner than later.
Yeah,
That's
definitely.
that's fun. And like, do you are you finding people based off of? Well, actually, no. The question I really want to ask is, are they watching the movie and then basically making artwork based off their reaction to the movie, or do you have any insight into kind of how that works for them?
Yeah, we share the movies for them first and foremost so that they can
Okay,
watch
cool. Yeah.
them, kind of get a feel for them and everything. We try to find people that can really bring out the best of the movie in an artistic sense. Um, so with Z, like we shared Anatomia with her. She watched it, and we worked with we worked on the concept with her for the artwork. Same with BMO. When we worked with him with Centipede Heart and Red Spells, we worked and kind of retooled what he had. But I mean, for the most part, they come with their own ideas, and their ideas are great. And we just kind of like try to accentuate them, kind of bring out like even more wildness or craziness or whatever it needs to be to match the film. Um, yeah, yeah,
That, that reminds me of one of my favorite quotes. I was listening to a commentary for Ticks. Did you ever see that movie?
yeah.
So the Brian Usna was a producer. He wasn't like a writer, but he was a producer. And he came in. I think he had like just made Society, or maybe he made it a few years before. I can't remember the timeline. But he came in to produce the film, and he watched it, and he was like, "No, the ticks need to be bigger and crazier." It's kind of when you're. I can just imagine based on what you said. I'm just imagining you there, like no, like we need it to be kind of crazier.
Oh
Like,
yeah. Oh, for
Actually,
sure.
that's
No,
pretty much.
oh, sorry. Go ahead, Logan.
No, go ahead. That's exactly what we kind of have.
No, yeah, like exactly what I was gonna say too. Yeah, it's like, I mean, especially for these past ones, yes, to an extent. I think especially for Red, we pushed a little bit more. And because also the other thing is we want to, like Logan was saying, it's a very collaborative process. So we also want to get the best out of them. We want their art to shine. We want people to look at the art and not just want to buy it, but be like, damn, that's just good art. So but even for these upcoming ones that releases after Red Spells and Centipede, which like Logan was saying, we've already started that process again of collaborating with the artist. We're also we push them too. And for certain films specifically, a lot of these films mean something to us, and I especially on the next ones, like they're very close, near and dear to me. I would say the next couple of films that we're going to release, and me and Logan, like, will, when we get a draft or a sketch, I'll send it to him, and if I get it first or something, and then I'll be like, "What do you think?" And he'll be like, "Are you actually happy with it?" I might say it at first, I am, but then I'm like, I am happy with it, but I do feel like we could do more. And it's kind of like inching and inching closer to what we want, but also allowing the artist to keep their style and like
yeah,
their integrity. It's like,
yeah,
because I feel like the last thing we ever want to do is tell an artist to do something that they don't want to, in terms of like their style, compromising their actual style and their signature. So that's something we definitely don't want to do, and that's kind of part of the process, as well as when it goes into selecting the artists. We kind of look at the artists and also see what have they done and how can we use like what they've done, their previous work, and channel it into this certain film. Because again,
yeah,
like Logan was saying, we worked with Z twice, Anatomia and Funky Force Warp, so it was like consecutive. We love her and we would definitely work with her again. But for Red and Centipede, we were like, I think we need something different, a different style. And when Logan's the one who found Bemo's art first. And I saw that when he sent it to me, and I was like, this guy, I think he could definitely do it. It's like just something about it,
yeah.
So yeah, it's a fun process. It is a lot of work because it's collaborative, but it is really fun and it's rewarding because when you get to see each like stage of the art, it's great. It's a great feeling.
It almost, the way you're talking about it reminds me of like picking a tattoo artist, right?
Oh yeah, I think Logan could talk about that more than me. Attest to that more. He has more tattoos.
No, but I will say, like, I thought the box for the Force collection was okay until I saw the films, and I was like, it's perfect. Like, it has that kind of like Obayashi vibe to all of them, where it's like it's almost like a mixed art project. Like, it's definitely a movie, but like it's that mixed media kind of project, and I think the box is like perfect for it. Um, and
Thank
then
you.
also on the Centipede art, dude, that is a beautiful rigid box. Like, wow. Like that is amazing. I love it.
Thanks. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so
Yeah.
much, and thank you for purchasing. By the way, that
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for
because
purchasing.
earlier I wanted to get that in earlier, but we just kept going. No, thank you so much. That's actually, I was funny. I had a couple of friends on Instagram reach out to me too, and they were like, oh, I went for this one or for that one. And I had several who said they went for that one. And I was like, honestly, and not even from a sales perspective or salesman perspective, I was like, if like I was on the outside looking in, that's the one I would have gone for too. Yeah.
Hell yeah. The comic book. Well, I mean, I feel like out of place with a lot of kind of collectors because I don't collect stuff. Like I don't have T-shirts and I don't have dolls and I don't have like the Funko stuff. I just don't like. We live in a small house. We kind of made that decision, so we don't have a lot of space.
Right.
So like my 5,000 movie collection is already like way too much space. I can't collect stuff on top of that.
Yeah.
And so it was like I was so happy when I saw that. I was like, okay, I don't have to figure out what to do with the T-shirt or something. Like I just get to go celebrate the good art here. But yeah, no, of course, man. I'm more happy to do it. I can't wait for it to come out. So I know you want to keep some stuff under the lid. So I won't push you too hard on what's coming next. I'm curious though, how many titles just at the highest level, like of detail, just at the highest level, how many titles do you currently have under license that you're looking to figure out a way to release in the next like 5 years or 10 years or whatever? Can you talk about that?
Hold on, let me count. I mean, we have at least we have like 6 that are like that we've already announced that we're placing for like next year. And then we have like a slew of other ones that we're kind of like we have our sights set on and we can pick up, but we're sort of focused on these 6 at the moment. But there are a few other ones that we have kind of like are like hands on that we've already kind of like claimed, if you will, like we've already discussed and we've already kind of worked out the contract and everything. It's just a matter of signing.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're kind of waiting after we get these 2 out before we sign anything else, just to be, just to get stuff done so we can just take it off the checklist.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the next 6 that we've already announced, those like I would love to get them all out next year and then maybe, get out a couple of other ones just for good measure. That would be awesome. But, it's really just about kind of like, because a lot of them like with Red Spell and Centipede, it was easy to pair them together because they not only have like a thematic kinship, but they also have like they're from the same production company. They have
Hmm.
they have the same screenwriter. They have like a similar. There's like one actor that's the same in both. They have like similarities between them and everything. So it was easy to kind of pair them together. Some of the other ones are a little harder. I know like Red to Kill and Running Kill, for instance, which we're pushing to have next. They share the same director. But little else, right, Sam? It's just the director, right?
Yeah, it's just director, and then, I mean, I guess they're both Cat 3 films, Cat 3
True.
exploitation films. So
That's true.
somewhat of the style, I guess the style. Yeah.
We're trying to pair things together though for people, so
Yeah.
like they can kind of buy together. So we're not just going to release one movie anymore because it's just easier for people if they want to buy 2, they can save on shipping depending on where they are in the world and everything,
Yeah.
and just kind of make it easier, and also just have as much as we can offer to people, just to make it like a nice kind of process for them visiting our site. So
Okay. I didn't know that. So so your strategy is to kind of go 2 at a time unless there's a box set down the line.
yeah, I would say 2 at a time. I mean, we were discussing doing 3 actually. For for one pairing, there was like a third that I wanted to kind of have in there, kind of just like throw in there like something like completely different than the other 2. But I mean, we're still kind of working it out. I think like 2 at a time is kind of easy for us right now, like because we did 1 at a time, 2 at a time's kind of easy. I don't know if like 3 or 4 at a time is in us right now. I'd love to do that. I mean, we have the movies. It's just more about like making sure all the booklets are good and the stickers and everything is just right and ready. I'd have to talk to Sam about it and see if he's up for the challenge of doing like something like 4. Like I know like Mondo when they started, they did like maybe 1 or 2 and now they're doing 4. But it's been like a nice slow crawl to get to 4.
No,
And
you read my mind. I was just thinking about Mondo because they're big on bundles as well, right?
they just announced their first box set for October.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
they've been around longer than we have. But I
Yeah.
mean, we're still trying to push ourselves. If we can try to get that done sooner, that'd be great. But yeah.
A lot of these people have teams as well. I think Mondo's pretty small. That's just a matter of probably experience. But a lot of these people have teams as well. Like there's no way Severin is 3 people, right? Like there's a whole team kind of
Hell
putting
no.
together. So
They're
yeah.
bigger than that.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, I think y'all are doing a fantastic job. And whatever it is, I'm not trying to press you. I just think it's kind of cool to hear the way your brain works. Because it's, I think there's something else I wanted to tap into, which I said 2 things a while back. We kind of got, but this is the second thing. I think you made a comment to Ryan on the Disconnected podcast or YouTube channel the other day that I thought I really liked, because you said that these are films that y'all liked and just nobody was putting out, and that's kind of how you got started, right? And you're just sort of like, well, someone needs to do it, so might as well be us. And I just think it's cool to see from me, just kind of sitting back and watching, like if y'all were just goofing around, like making movie recommendations to people, it turns out that people really dig them, right? Because now they're selling out and like it's working. Like you have good taste.
Thank you. I mean, obviously we don't want to toot our own horn or anything like that. But no, I mean a lot of the films like again, and I don't want to regurgitate too much either, and Logan I know can attest to this very much, is that they mean a lot to us. And like for example, Funky and Warped, like um it was like about a year or 2 years ago when Logan mentioned them to me, and I actually wasn't even aware of those films. And I was already big into a lot of Asian, like just genre cinema, but I wasn't aware of those two. And then he nudged me to try to watch them, and I remember seeing clips of it. And then like I remember once we, after Anatomia, fast forward 2 years after, and then Anatomia happened, and then he was about to get like two of his kind of grail films, released by our company. So that's the level of like how we treat these films. Like it's kind of labors of love, because they mean a lot to us. And if somebody else is releasing a lot of the films that we're releasing, we would want to see the same amount of effort, if not better. So I think with Funky Warped especially, that's kind of like one of the most kind of like I guess personal releases, especially because I think it's something that like again, coming at it from Logan's experience, something that he's always wanted to see get like a wider release, because the DVD was like completely out of print for Funky.
Yeah.
And
And Warped was only festival, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Hmm. Exactly. And then that's similar to me now. I'm kind of getting my moment now too, because I think Centipede and Red, Logan and me, I think Centipede and Red is very equal. I think we're both like
Yeah.
very super excited for those two. But then like the next couple, we announced like Run and Kill, Red to Kill. Run and Kill, Red to Kill are like two of my favorite like horror films, exploitation films ever. So those two are like very near and dear to me. I want to like try to do the best we can, kind of like similar work we did for Funky Warp, like, so yeah, I mean, it like from how you said it, these are kind of like in a way like our recommendations in some way. Like these are movies that we would buy as soon as they drop. These are movies that we have watched and we love. We've watched multiple times, either one of us or both of us. So yeah, that's the level of like seriousness like we kind of like take when approaching any of these. And it's also the way we pick, because yeah, there's going to be some films that probably in the future that we've heard of but we haven't seen, or like it's just like that's the rarity maybe of the film. We have never even seen it, but we know the notoriety or the legend behind it, so that will probably happen. But I can say for the most part, most of these films, like they've been um watched by us before. We have known about them already for a while.
And plus, I'm sure that y'all are always watching new stuff. I mean, are y'all going to festivals now, or are you mostly looking to release like, I guess what's the word for it? Well, anyways, like like older films, like films that have already been released.
I'd say both. I mean, we want to do both, I would say, as we look into the future. I mean, a lot of the stuff that we've announced they're all older stuff that we're doing like exclusive restorations of and bringing back, for people, or bringing out for the first time.
Mhm.
But I know that Sam and I both want to, release some new stuff. I mean, we've discussed it. We have stuff like on hand that we're interested in signing. Um, so and I was actually just talking to Sam about some stuff before we made the call. Like I was like, oh, there's this Japanese director. I've got these movies, if you're interested, let's watch them, together and see what we think, blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, we're interested in both ways for sure. And and hopefully one day we can even, do like our own thing. I mean, I've talked to Sam about like doing like something easy would be like an anthology, hiring like a couple of directors to kind of do a short or something and then kind of weaving them together, having someone do
A wraparound.
yeah. So we've discussed that too, which would be awesome. We'd love to do that.
It's funny, I just the particular way that I happen to grow up with regards to film, I didn't see a lot of anthologies, but I'm in the last 3 years or so, I've been doing like full director runs, like everything Fellini did, or like everything Jodorowsky did, like just everything, and trying to find. Sometimes I have to go to YouTube, but for the most part, a lot of these famous guys have like real releases of stuff. But I'm seeing these anthology films for the first time. Some of them are great. Like it's a really cool way to get exposure to different directors and see their names and start to dig into the other work they've done. And that I think I like where your head's at.
Yeah, and I love personally, I love anthologies. I grew up on anthologies. I mean, even down to like TV shows like Twilight Zone and stuff like that, anthology shows too, Creep Show, all that stuff. So yeah, it's just something I have like an affinity for and a love for. So I think it'd be really fun. And if we did like something wild and crazy, and we tapped a bunch of directors to do something crazy, I think it'd be a lot of fun. So that's just something we talk about. We just kind of spitball back and forth like little things sometimes.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
one day when that happens, we'll know that you're thinking about it back in October of 22.
Yeah, we'll hop
Um,
up. Thank you.
Nice, man. Well, I mean, even Vinegar Syndrome did that one, New York Ninja, right? Not that it's an anthology,
Right.
but I mean that was like their project, right? Like fully their project.
Yeah, they took it on, and they also, I know they recorded a brand new dub or whatever, all the sound effects and stuff for it, because I think it didn't have sound effects or a dub or something, so
No,
they
it had no sound.
had no sound at all.
So
So they,
they did Foley art, they did everything.
yeah, they did everything. Yeah,
Yeah.
which is something we've been talking about too. I ran into somebody at a con, and he was telling me that he could help us do like dubs if we want to do dubs down the line, and a few of the future releases we're doing, we're actually releasing with a dub, like with a dub that's already been made, like an old dub, like
Mhm.
an English dub, I mean. And so we're considering maybe doing like a new English dub for certain titles in the future. Um, we're gonna test it and see what people think.
I would trust y'all with that, because one of the problems I have with dubs, this is another thing I heard you talking about just kind of in passing on the interview with Ryan, but like, when you grow up with some of these movies, it's like you're seeing in the worst possible way. You're seeing it like
Yeah.
edited, you're seeing it with a cheesy dub, and it's like not the way it's meant to be seen.
Yeah, the dubs are usually really bad. I remember I put on a dub of I Saw the Devil, and it was awful. I had to turn it off immediately. It's the first time I had ever started watching it, and as soon as I heard the English dub, I was like, "Oh, this is bad." I'm like laughing, and it's not that kind of movie. So I had to turn it off. But a lot of kung fu stuff have like really bad dubs, but sometimes it's endearing. Like
Hmm.
personally, really like the Gamera dubs, and Shout has the Gamera dubs on their DVDs, but I don't think that Arrow has it on their box set. So like I need to go back and pick up the Shout DVDs so I can have those English
Mm,
dubs for every
mm.
movie, because I just really like those sometimes. And so I think it has its good and bad qualities. I know some people like them, some people don't, but so we kind of want to like release the films as as they're meant to be seen, and then if there is a dub and we can include the dub, we will, for people, as like an alternate kind of viewing experience, kind of like how we have with the Centipede and Red Spells. We're offering the animal cruelty cuts as an alternate viewing experience. It doesn't necessarily have to replace the original viewing experience, but it's there if you want, so I think
Hmm.
dubs are kind of like that too. It's like another way to view the film, but not the doesn't have to be the only way.
Yeah.
I remember when Cannibal Holocaust, I think, was the one that released their animal cruelty free version.
Hmm.
When I first heard that, I laughed, just thinking of like but then when I saw the movie in the real, like with the cruelty, I was like, damn, I wish I'd watched the animal cruelty free one. Because they just like rip open a turtle. It sucks. Like I didn't like watching it at all. And so like I kind of love it. Like that's, like the thing that even if films get, famous for this wacky shit, the reality is that behind it is like a really good movie a lot of times. Like there's a reason they have a legacy, right?
Hmm.
For sure.
Uh,
For sure. Yeah. I mean, I think also a big part of it for us, and sorry, I guess backtracking a little bit here. When you mentioned Cannibal Holocaust, yeah, that was immediately what we thought when tackling Centipede and Red. We thought back to Grindhouse releasing's um Cannibal Holocaust Blu-ray. And I love that release. I think it's wonderful, and I also thought it was really nice that they included that because I mean I can I've watched Cannibal Holocaust many times. It's one of my favorite films, but I don't always also want to watch it, I guess, the quote unquote way it was meant to be seen. I
yeah,
don't have the stomach to do that every single time.
right.
And it's also a nice way for if I want to show it to somebody who wants to take that plunge, I give them that option. And it's there. So if somebody's really uncomfortable with that,
You didn't
before
give
we
me the
start.
option. You didn't give
Yeah. What? No, I gave you
force
the
me.
option. I
Force
gave you
me to watch
but you know so that's same thing with Red Spells and Centipede, and it's like an accessibility thing, to be honest. It's a way for more people to watch it because there were a lot of people who when we announced it they were like, ooh, I think I'm gonna have to pass on these because they knew the
it.
notoriety.
Yeah,
um
yeah, 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 yeah.
and especially with Red Spell, it's like Red Spell is like compare the animal cruelty, I would say, is comparable to Cannibal Holocaust and Red Spell. So, offering those things is important because then a lot of people were actually like, oh, well, now that I know there's animal cruelty, they were even saying like on commenting on Facebook or Instagram, they were like, oh, I'm gonna buy it now because I know that there's an animal cruelty free cut. So, it's like it's nice. It's a nice way to get everybody to watch it who maybe was squeamish about it or for good reason. And again, I don't think it's like tampering or anything like that, because we're offering both cuts. You have the choice to watch whichever one you want. It's just giving another choice. Same how we were talking about dubbing or subtitles or whatever. It's like another way to watch it, and it's just like I think more accessible at the end of the day.
I hope Wong Kar-wai is listening. It's not about not changing the movie. It's about
Right.
offering options.
Damn you. No, I love him.
um, yeah, right. Yeah, no, I love that. I think it's right. I mean, at the end of the day, like Diodato wasn't trying to just gross people out. He was trying to make a commentary about the crazy shit that people watch, I think. And I mean, there's probably more to it, but like there was an intent behind Cannibal Holocaust that wasn't just like let's watch animals get fucked up and people get like right. Like there was a deeper intent there, and it's kind of like Solo as well.
Hmm.
I didn't realize until later, like the first time I saw Solo, I was like, nope, never seeing that again. And then I read kind of some uh, write-ups on it, and I saw it through a different lens, and I watched it again, and I was able to sit through it, and I like it. I get what he was trying to say. It's just like certain people are willing to kind of push against that sense of um, comfort to make their point, right? But if they go a little bit too far, I like the idea of not having to actually sit through the torture that was in
Oh,
there.
definitely. Yeah, definitely.
So I think y'all are onto something. Um, well, okay, so man, I told y'all this was just gonna fly by. Like we're already at over 40 minutes. I love talking to y'all. So a couple questions, just quick fire. Streaming. What's the future of streaming look like for y'all?
Streaming. We've discussed putting our stuff up ourselves in certain places, perhaps. Like I know that Tubi is very easy. You can just kind of just put up your stuff yourself.
Hmm.
Um, but I know that we're kind of like hoping that we can get something on Shutter. That would be like awesome, just because we have an affinity for Shutter and we think that our stuff there would be awesome. And if that ever comes to pass, that'd be great. I know that we just signed a deal with AGFA to do theatrical. So all our films will be available
Good.
theatrically. So you can, book them at any of your local theaters or whatever, and see our movies on the big screen. And yeah, so I that's exciting.
Did y'all talk to Brett over there?
Yeah, yeah, we talked to Brett. We sent him a couple movies because he wanted to see like what we had in store, and he watched a couple of them, and he decided to sign all of them.
Love that. And we had him and Joe on here a few months back. I love that conversation. Those guys are awesome.
Yeah, they're great.
Um,
AGFA is like, they're just fantastic people.
Yeah, we love it, GFA.
yeah, yeah, they're releasing some cool stuff too. But that's cool. So theatrical set, streaming. If y'all don't know, Joey from Terracotta is in the process of starting a Shutter, but for Asian films. So he's trying to be like the go-to place for Asian cinema with the streaming site.
Gotcha.
Oh wow.
So I think I don't know. I think it only problem is it might be region locked at the moment to
Right.
region B. But I don't know where that stands for him. But just throwing that out there.
That's cool. That's good to know. Yeah, I didn't know that at all.
So other quick fire. Hong Kong is great. Japan is great. Asia's a big place. I've heard you mention you're digging into some other regions. Can you give any kind of insight into where else you're looking?
Well, I mean, we just announced what, 3 other films, and they're from Taiwan. So those are like our next place is Taiwan. We have been looking into some Thailand movies. I've watched a couple screeners from Thailand. We're like considering some stuff there. There's one that we were considering from Korea. There's a lot of different places that we do want to look and dig and ask about movies and stuff for. I know that we're also itching to go back to Japan and release another Japanese film, because we have, we just did the 2 Hong Kong. We have 3 more Hong Kongs coming, and then we have 3 Taiwan movies coming. And I know we want to kind of go back to Japan as well. Yeah. Anything? What do you know?
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Sam.
Oh no, yeah, I was just saying. I mean, I've said this also a couple times in like some other like sit down podcasts and stuff, but I mean, it's all of it's fair game. Like, any part of Asia is fair game, and there is so much great and underseen films from all around. And like I remember I was talking to Logan about like Vietnam and also the Philippines. Like kind of like a lot of underrated stuff. And yeah, I mean, I think Hong Kong and Japan just like are like the first ones that are they come to mind fastest for us, just because there's so many titles we think about, that are from there. And also that we would like kind of dream releases, I guess. But no, I mean, we want to encompass, all of Asia and get as many films from like as many countries as possible, because we want to give love to all of it. And that's at the end of the day why our company was born, because we wanted to shine light on all Asian genre cinema, not just like 1 or 2 regions. It just so happens that it's, I don't want to say easier, but it's been a little bit more I guess facilitating releases from certain regions has been a little bit more, I guess, easy, a little bit more.
No, I mean, like I was talking to the guy Jared from Mondo about this. Like, the thing that blows me away about them is like, if you look at Arrow or Criterion or a lot of these companies that Severin, like, they're walking on paths that have already been kind of like laid out, right? Like someone's already cleared the jungle and like made a path to a certain production company or like a film company or whatever, and they're like producing the films, which is great. Like the films need to get released. But like what Mondo's doing is they're going into the jungle and they're looking for lost tribes, and they have the machete out, and they're like chopping down branches, making new paths to this kind of stuff, right? And so I think your whole point about being easier is like, I don't think that's like a negative at all. I mean, the reality is like, as you get to 6-10 releases a year and you have more cash and more time and teams and like all this stuff, then you can go play in these new areas, right? That's probably just the reality of like building a business.
I mean, I would say we're actually more like Mondo, because we actually do the digging ourselves, and we've had to find everything ourselves and work extra hard to find them. It hasn't really been easy. I think what Sam means is like once we find something, we kind of stay in that region a little bit, because we end up finding other things. Like we discover one film, and then it leads to like a bushel of other films, and then we're like, oh well, should we grab them all, or should we just grab the ones we came for? It's like finding treasure and then wanting to grab the whole treasure chest. So but I mean, it's a little harder for us though, because like we are going in alone and we are digging alone. So then when we do find something, we pay all the cost to have it restored ourselves. We're not working with I mean, we worked with other people for Funky and Warped, but for everything else that we've done, we haven't worked with anyone else. So
Right.
it's like we're putting in our own stuff, and it is a little harder to manage that. And then also kind of, we have looked in other places. It's just it's time consuming, you know. Like we have like, we'll find movies and then we talk to the companies. Some companies want too much money. It's a lot of behind the scenes stuff, you know. I think it's easier for someone to say release this movie than it is to actually release it in most cases, because you have to reach out to that company, because most are operated by or owned by a company, and then the company wants maybe too much money for it, or maybe the materials aren't available, you know. There's all different kinds of hurdles that you face when you do find something, or don't find it even.
I
Yeah.
like the way you said that. The way that, you know, the way that I kind of think about y'all, and tell me if you hate this, but there's a group of labels. Deaf Crocodile's one that's kind of focusing mostly, looks like mostly in Europe out of the gate. There's a company called Malwu in the UK, which is focusing on Africa and Latin America. There's y'all, which are focusing in right now, it seems like a lot of, you know, kind of Southeast Asia, although I know you're talking about expanding. But like there's this group of basically like passion-led labels that are coming out and saying like, hey, we're just going to release the films we like and hope there's an audience. And I love that, and I love the fact that the market's supporting that. Um, you know, looking back 18 months ago, was there, did you know that the market would support it, or were you just hoping that it would and you're happy the bet's paid off?
I think that that's a good question. No, I think so. Going back to kind of like how it started, it's like we saw kind of there was a gap that like I think needed to be filled, which is there wasn't in the US a company that just specialized on Asian, you know, cinema. And even I mean even overseas, I don't think there's one only specific company that specializes. I mean, yeah, you have 88, you have Eureka, and they put out a lot of Asian, you know, cinema, especially, you know, recently Hong Kong stuff. But I think um that was kind of the leap of faith, you know, that we took. That was like when we would joke around, there was truth to it, because we were like, we if there was a company like that here, I mean, yeah, sure, there's, you know, what Media Blasters or, you know, Tokyo Shock or whatever, but
Good tech.
sorry, oh yeah, you said Discotheque.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, Discotheque. Like, but you know, these they're kind of more like kind of like how you mentioned like Kino, they're like factory labels.
Yeah,
Like they're just,
yeah.
yeah, they're just like pumping out like movies, and you know, yeah, they're kind of, you know, and but and I own a lot of their movies. I'm not knocking it, you know. But there was not really a boutique label dedicated to Asian you know, genre cinema. So that was a little bit the leap of faith. But again, we were also, both of us, kind of embedded in like different horror communities and also big collectors already. Um, so we kind of studied it inadvertently just by participating in it, because Logan and me
Mm.
would talk about it all the time, and I would talk about it with other, you know, fellow like collectors and horror heads on Instagram, on Facebook, or whatever, you know. So kind of just years and years of being embedded, and also kind of knowing, like not knowing the game, because obviously we're still learning the game, but knowing that there was a lot of people wanting a lot of films released that were not getting any attention. That was, again, that what I keep saying is like the leap of faith. We were like, we should do this because nobody else is doing it. And you know, sure enough, like it seems like people kind of like what we're doing. So
Thankfully. And I'll say like you know, we've sometimes we have had some doubts in ourselves, you know. I mean, I know I've voiced some doubts sometimes about like maybe prices or something like that. And we've considered selling a different way, like you mentioned, Vinegar Syndrome have their partner labels. We've considered joining the partner labels way, like, you know, way back before Centipede and Red Spells, obviously. We thought about it. But then we just, you know, we decided against it, with our releases, and decided, to kind of take the leap on our own. And thankfully it's worked out. I think it could have easily went the opposite way. But it's yeah, I think somehow, we did well, and we have to give it to our fans and people that support us, really, because I mean, without them we're nothing. We couldn't release anything without them. So as long as we keep getting their support, we'll keep putting money into more movies, and really digging and discovering more movies, and finding more movies, and putting the money into restorations and interviews and whatever it takes, awesome artwork, whatever it is, so people are really satisfied.
Hmm.
Keep
I love that. There's this interesting kind of like discussion around. We don't have to go deep into this now. I'm just thinking, like, in the DVD days, in theory, like, everything was released, right?
right.
Although that's not entirely true, but in theory, like, it was easy to release something, and like you had a hunch that someone was going to buy it. So there's a ton of companies that popped up and produced like bad releases, but there was a lot of releases. I mean, a lot of stuff has been released on DVD.
Oh yeah.
But I think the thing that's interesting about Blu-ray, kind of transitioning into 4K, but this market now, as I see it, just being a part of collecting then and being a part of collecting now, is like Force Collection is coming out, and you're hearing from the directors, and you're getting this like immersive experience, and like that's the definitive release of that movie. Like, it will most likely, and I hopefully for those directors, I stand corrected, but it will most likely never have a release like this,
Hmm.
right? And I think that one of the things I think is really cool about the market right now overall, and then also tying into what y'all are doing, is these movies that are coming out from the boutique companies, they are getting the best release that movie will ever get, and I love that.
Yeah, I mean, we love that too.
Yeah. I
we,
mean,
we
especially when it's our favorite films, some of our favorites, we're like, okay, we can stop buying them for the time being.
Well, last question then, it kind of ties directly into what you're just saying. Do you feel love when you reach out to people and interview them, and they see the product after the restoration and they see the art? Like, is there a lot of love in the room? Like, are they really appreciating what you're doing for their films?
Yeah, I mean, going back to our very first one, Anatomia. I mean, Yoshihiro, he was a pleasure to work with, and we send him copies. I'm gonna send him the VHS tapes now, because I don't think he's seen those yet, unless he saw our social. I haven't told him yet, so I was gonna kind of surprise send those to him. And we've even had directors of other films that we admire, that bought Centipede and Red Spells, and he reached out to me, like a Japanese director, and he's like, oh, these look awesome, and I'm going to send him some extra goodies, to make him happy too. So
Sure.
yeah, I mean, they're super excited. I mean, Yoshihiro was really happy with how everything looked, and we even worked with him to have his own artwork, like with the little like art card things. I mean, he took the time to make that himself. Like, he wanted it part of our release, so we included it, on his behalf. He was thrilled. And I know, like, the directors of Funky and Warped are also, really appreciative of what we've done, and released them, us, and also Third Window. And then sadly, the director of Centipede Horror has passed away, but Titus Ho, we did an interview with him, and I've talked to him through email and everything, and he's really excited to get the the Blu-ray as well. He's kind of like still floored that people are even interested in these movies. I think especially with Red Spells Red, I think obviously there's a little bit of trepidation about releasing it from, like, if it's your work, it feels like, oh, maybe, after so much time has passed, a lot of stuff isn't viewed the same way in terms of the animal cruelty and stuff. So I know, like, he kind of felt a little weird about it at first, but I think, he's kind of gotten used to the idea, and is very excited, once he's seen everything, and all of that. And yeah.
He came around. Came
Yeah, he
around to the
came around. Yeah.
So, Logan, I've heard that so far tonight, I've heard that you've had to convince Sam on the bundles. You've had to convince the director to release their own movie. So it seems like you're the salesman here.
I mean, he's nice. He's great, and I understand the trepidation and everything. It's just, some of these movies. I mean, some of these people that participate in these movies, they they only did it one time. Like the actresses in Red Spell, it was their only feature, and then never again. You know, they got married, had kids, forgot all about it. You know, lived their own lives. So they forgot all about it. So it's kind of like bringing it back and trying to conjure up that magic again to get them on board. You know, it's hard in some ways. You know, we would have loved to interview a couple of the people for these movies that we just couldn't get because it's been so long, and they just kind of want to live it down, you know, kind of get away from that a little bit. But you know, I'm still proud of the movies, and I think it's fun to put them out there.
No, I love it. We all please keep doing what you're doing. I hope we come back in another year or 2 or 3, whatever, whenever we come back around, and y'all are up to 12 releases a year, and you're blowing it out
Oh
with multiple bundles. Hey, I mean, y'all are everything you've done so far has been gold, so I hope that continues for you. Just strictly on a personal level, not to put you on the spot, but I'm curious, what's a release you really loved in the last few months? I mean, from anywhere, just what's something you're watching right now?
Take it, Sam. Take it.
Oh, there was one that came to mind. Well, actually, no, you know what? I actually just recently posted this on Instagram. It's there's a movie. It's from Japan. It's came out during like the V cinema kind of movement in Japan, and it is a V cinema V film from Japan. It's called Cyclops. Came out in the 80s by, I might be butchering his last name, George Ida or Aida. And that was released by a company in Europe. I can't remember if they're I think it might be Germany. But they release media books, and they focus a lot on Asian like horror, exploitation, kung fu, martial arts stuff. And they released a media book of it with like several different covers. I happened to get like my second favorite cover. First time it's been on Blu-ray. I believe it's the first time it's been on DVD. And that was an amazing release because they also even got the director to do a new interview. They got a couple other little features here, but yeah, it's like a beautiful HD transfer. It's like a crazy body horror, just gooey, goopy, rubber, latex dripping everywhere. I think anyone who loves Cronenberg, anyone who loves Yuzna, Stuart Gordon, they would dig their teeth into this release. I think it's wonderful. Unfortunately, the media books I think are sold out in most places. However, they did put out standards. I think you have to be region free though, because I think it's region B. But it's well worth it because I don't know who would release it. Who else would release it? But the company is called Cine Strange Extreme, I think.
We're
They're amazing.
That could release it, Sam.
Oh yeah, well we know of one company. Yeah, we might be able to. We'll have to get in contact with them or something. But yeah, that I highly recommend anyone seek that one out. They might have some media books in some places. They have a standard, like I said, so definitely check that out. I think it's an amazing film, and it's a really stellar release. I think it's like an underrated release. Unfortunately, they're still, I think, not as big yet. So yeah.
I love that. Some of the German media book companies are great. Some of the releases are beautiful. So
Oh, for sure.
I'll make sure to check that one out. What about you, Logan?
I've been collecting a lot of like things like you were saying and back in the DVD age, like anything could get a DVD release, you know, like anything. So there's a lot of Japanese kind of like movies that dropped on DVD and then they'll never be released again because they look ugly, they sound ugly, and so I kind of like go and try to collect those, you know, and just watch them because like they're not streaming and nobody even wants them to be streaming. So that's the only way I can like kind of find them unless I really dug online. So a lot of that pretty much. I haven't really bought a lot of new things. There is a because we're kind of like Facebook rats, you know. We're in those like groups, the collecting groups, the cult groups, you know. We're in all those for, you know, collectors and fans for form.
Yeah.
And there's a guy that does Indonesian stuff, and I love his stuff. I always buy his stuff. He only does like, I don't know, 20, 25. That's it. Like that's all he'll make. But he'll take like these Indonesian movies that you can't get anywhere, and he'll buy like all these different copies, and then he'll source the best copy, and then he'll kind of cut things in. Like he did Queen of Black Magic, but there's like 5 minutes missing from like the version that you can catch from Mondo or on Shutter. So he put that in, even though those 5 minutes are like in a really bad, like, you know, the quality is bad and it's like in a bad aspect ratio compared to the rest of the film. It's still cool to see the complete thing. So I kind of collect those. I've been buying those recently, but he's got his own Facebook group. It's called Indonesian Fan Project.
Then you got it. Okay, I'll look that up now because I don't know if y'all know this, but I spent high school in Indonesia.
Oh, really?
Oh wow.
Yeah, and I didn't see a ton. I mean, I wasn't like as into movies back then, but later in life, as I discovered like some of the crazy stuff coming out of Indonesia, I certainly, I was drawn to it just of my experience there. So I'm gonna be all over that. I'll look that
Yeah,
up
yeah.
soon.
Some of them are really good. Sometimes he gets a print, like a 16 mm print, and he can like scan it or whatever, and it looks all right, you know. Other times it's just he's sourcing like old VHS tapes and he's marrying them with like a DVD quality, and he's kind of like making the best amalgamation of this movie that you've ever seen, you know, with all the missing bits and nudity and stuff. So, I mean, it's fun just watching it, you know, as an artifact, you know, and to keep the movie alive until us or someone else can really find them and get their hands on them. So.
Mhm.
This is totally a tangent, and we don't have to go down there. But I wish people knew that Indonesia was like a 98% Muslim country. I think it would totally change the way people saw Muslims because like they're so relaxed compared to what people think about when they think of like Islamic country, you know? That
Yeah.
country's so cool and so chill and the people are amazing and like there's nudity in the movies like you just said. Like it's just a totally different environment. It's so much closer to the Philippines than it is to like Saudi Arabia or something in terms of the culture. Well,
Crazy.
uh, yeah, so I'll check that out. Thank you. Just an idea for y'all. Um, Recently, there was a beautiful biography put out about Rudy Ray Moore called "Thank You for Letting Me Be Myself."
Oh yeah.
I just got in the House of Psychotic Women book from
Oh.
Severin. Beautiful hard book. Like it's so if y'all ever I think one of the things I'll just put this in seed in your mind, and if you've already thought about it, then forgive me for giving you ideas, but just count it as another notch towards a good idea. But like people buy books, I buy books. I think a lot of people buy books, and the stuff that y'all are doing is like not a lot of people know, like the backstories, and there's beautiful art, like you said. So if you ever put out books, you got one person who's going to buy them for sure.
Thank you. We have talked about this. Yeah. I could say that it's something that we want to do in the future for sure. We'll see, but that's something that I would definitely be interested in doing something like that in the future.
I'll make you
Yeah.
write the whole thing, Sam.
So,
You
say that
what?
again.
I'll make Sam write it all.
Awesome. Okay. I asked for 30 to 40 minutes. We've been going for an hour and 20. Thank you.
Oh, really?
Or so close to that. Thank you both. Um, Anything else you want people to know about you? Oh, one thing I did want to ask. You keep mentioning, hey, we just announced this, announced this. Where are you announcing it? Is it on Facebook? Where are you announcing this stuff?
We've been announcing like all our new movies that we've announced on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, the trifecta. And I don't think I've sent. I sometimes I get a little behind on email blasting, you know, for people that have joined up to our MailChimp or our email stuff. So I need to do that. But yeah, it's usually social media. I need to add pages on the website. We've just been a little busy and trying to sell these two, I guess.
Well, stay in the jungles, find that next treasure. Seems like whatever you're doing as far as social and outreach goes is working. But yeah, awesome. Thank you all again. And yeah, just can't wait to keep buying.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you for having us, and I appreciate your continued support and yeah, we definitely come back for sure.
Awesome. All right. All right. Then talk later.
All right, man. Peace.
Bye.